Subscribe to Film Companion for your film fix. Hit the bell icon so you never miss an update.
People don't care, what you were feeling or how tired you were or whether you've done a 24-hour shift or a 37-hour shift or you've not eaten or people don't care. I mean, they're just going to see the scene and they're going to be like, passe. We're artists. I don't like to get into the politics of it. But of course, being from this time and this generation, I'm very aware of things that are going on around me. There are various opinions. There is also a lot of negativity, which is why one has to learn how to pace oneself and have perspective, and is probably why I'm on an ayurvedic detox right now. I'm getting the toxins out of my system.
Hi, Ishaan. So lovely to see you.
Hi, Anu. Likewise, it's wonderful to see you as well.
If we were still in a normal world, you and I would have been doing this interview at the Toronto International Film Festival, which of course closes with A Suitable Boy.
How I wish.
I know, me too. I know. But I was very happy to be able to see and binge watch because the festival made the entire series available on their platform. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed your performance as Man. What a charismatic character, so stubborn, spirited, passionate, foolish, so many things.
Heavy dose of foolishness.
A heavy dose of foolishness, exactly. But the fact that he falls in love with a woman who is so much older than him, with a woman who is a courtesan, with a woman who is Muslim, and this is 1951, just makes him so intriguing. And it's really a coming of age story, not just of Lata, but also of Man. So I want to ask you first, how did you get into this guy's head? What did you do, apart from, of course, having the script and the book, to construct this character for yourself?
So, I really felt like, Anu, I feel like, first of all, I feel like I need to clarify calling you Anu, because she has categorically asked me not to call her ma'am, which is what I would address her as before. Since there are people who will take offense on your behalf out there, so I thought I'd just get it out.
Let's get that out of the way.
Let's get that clarified. And then I will not be making any more clarifications for the rest of my career.
Exactly.
But like you said, I figured very early on that he's this kaleidoscopic character. I mean, he goes in just about every direction. And, there wasn't any one shade that defined him. And I think that's largely what attracted me to the character of Man. And I realized very early on, there was a point where Mira even flirted with the idea. She said that you could also, if you're interested, there's this other part. But for me, it was always Man, because I don't think, seldom does an actor get an opportunity to display so many shades and so many layers within one character. And that was a big draw-in for me. And I think, besides the groundwork that we did, which Mira is very particular about, we did a lot of readings. We did readings with certain groups of actors and then individual readings. And the readings really kind of evolved more into discussions, and especially the sittings that we had with Tabu and I and Mira would sit often and talk about things, and she would talk about the psychology of her character, and and eventually it just became sort of there was a lot of understanding of what we are playing off of, and the world that we're going to be stepping into. So I think that was the main groundwork. For me, it was something that, it was like a self-appointed challenging phase for me as an actor, because I was doing Khaali Peeli, and I finished one schedule, and then I had to transition into the character of Man. I had 2 days. And so for me, the daunting thing was, I was looking at those 2 days from about 2 months in advance. And my prep was just for that 2 days to make that transition. And then eventually I had to finish Suitable and go back into Khaali Peeli. So for me, what was really, really important was to be able to make the switch in that limited time that I had, because they're very different characters. But I think particularly because they're so different, it helped me as well. It was a different world and a very different setup, a different energy. Second I stepped into Suitable Boy, I figured that this is going to be overwhelming, especially for Mira Di, because she's got 114 actors and this huge saga of a tale and so many intimate tracks within that. And of course, the larger overarching theme of, the socio-political story and everything going with it. I figured I need to take the reins into my hands for this character, because otherwise I'll be all over the place, because there's so much for him to do, and he's also it's a very physical part. I realized in the first 2 days that it's going to be a very physical part. So yeah, and then it was just emptying the mind and going with the flow, and luckily I had a lot to draw from and a lot of inspiration. So
I'm glad you didn't opt for the other part, whatever other, I'm assuming it was one of the suitors.
yeah.
Because where in the world would you get a romance Tabu, right?
I know.
I mean,
that
oh
was
my
a large
God.
one as well, a big drawing. Yes.
No, but Ishaan, for me, it was just so lovely that you have this younger man, older woman romance that is not, you're not just skirting around it. It's consummated. We see you in bed together. And what was amazing to me is that here you are with this incredible, very seasoned actor, but you don't come off as lightweight. It doesn't seem silly. It just seems like natural that of course these two would be together. He is a man who will transgress, and she is the woman who symbolizes the poetry and all that he longs for in his life. Tell me about creating the chemistry that you did with her. When you work against an actor who's so experienced, what are the questions you ask? How do you do it?
First off, just to underline what you said there, and that it's consummated. Mira Di she's very strong in her convictions, and she has no qualms about defining things. And so yeah, I mean, we were largely confident because of her conviction and because of her confidence in what she wanted to portray and how she wanted to portray it. Tabu, I think I can do an entire interview just talking about that equation and to be able to work with her. It was such an honor and such a delight for me to be able to work with her so early on in my career, and also in such an interesting equation. I mean, I wouldn't imagine that I would get this opportunity, but it's really I've been showered with a lot of blessings, and I do consider this a big one. But I have to say it felt extremely easy to work with her, and I've been saying this everywhere, but and I don't want to come off as like I'm trying to be cool about it or anything, but she was extremely easy to work with, and I think that's just how she is, and that is her aura, and it probably comes because of her confidence in her own craft, and I think she's also so very experienced that she knows how much energy to give and how much to conserve, and so it was just to observe her on set, behind the scenes even, was delightful. But our equation got formed in the early days in the readings, and she's
in those discussions.
Yeah, and she's very warm, and she's mischievous, and she's fun, and she's not a serious actor kind of vibe at all. So it was easy to just to get friendly with her, and to be able to have banter and normal chats about things. And then on set, it almost felt like it just happened. There was no small talk, there were no discussions, additional discussions on set. It was I think we were both very we were enjoying the parts that we were playing a lot, and so I think we wanted to lap it up and experience it. And so I think there was a natural synergy, and I credit it a lot to her, because she is the more experienced actor and the more senior actor, and as a young upcoming actor myself, I was obviously, I wanted to suss out how much she would be comfortable with and things like that, but she was I think that all the ice was broken very early on, so she could have made it uncomfortable, but it wasn't.
you got a chance, of course, to work with Mira, who's a wonderful and such a generous director, but also with Shimit Amin, who was the second
Yes,
in charge and who
yes,
directed
yes.
one of the episodes. What was it like to sort of go between these two? You know, to go between these two people, and what did you kind of? How do they complement each other as filmmakers?
They're very different, and especially because Shimit was working on a suitable boy to largely to serve Miradi's vision. He was very particular about how he wanted to construct the scenes, and he was very careful and considerate about how she would like things, and so it was a really unique experience, and going into it I didn't know that I would have the opportunity to work with Shimit as much as I did. I think I almost did half of my work with Shimit in the series. So Vijay Verma and I had a lot of scenes with him, and it was really, and this is something that is not very widely known, is that he's contributed very largely to the series, and he was wonderful to work with. And I think we got into it. It was the first time that I worked with a director that usually how it is for me, and I had the opportunity to get really close to Miradi before. But with Shimit, I hadn't interacted with him much. And usually how it is for me is I like to really get to know the director and get inside their mind as much as I can, just sort of just like invade their minds almost. And with Shimit, I didn't have any of that. So, and my first 2 days of work were with Shimit on the series. So I was like, oh my God, okay. And I didn't even know that till I got there, till I got to Lucknow. So we were just thrown into the water together, Shimit and I. And I think by the end of it, we were like hugging each other and fawning over each other. And it was wonderful. It was really wonderful.
I hope you've
Mira
convinced him to make a movie.
Sorry?
I hope you've convinced Shimit to start
Oh,
directing.
Shimit, he doesn't need any convincing. He just needs some egging on, I guess. He needs a push. And I think he has some exciting things in prospect. So,
Good. We
so
need him
yeah.
back.
Yeah, absolutely. Such a wonderful director.
Yes, he really
He's
is.
a
Sorry,
wonderful director.
you were saying something about Mira?
No, absolutely. I'm saying he's a wonderful director to the world of films in general, but also as an actor to work with, he's wonderful. Miradi, on the other hand, she's ferocious and she's fiery and feisty and all the F words. she's brilliant, and she's so energized even at this age.
She's incredible. I watched her work and I still remember her thing of one for love. She does that
Yeah.
extra take, one for love.
I love the one for love takes. I love them so much. So yeah, I mean, I think they did complement each other in a way because they were so different. And I think I think I can speak for her when I say she's proud of the work that was done on this series as a whole, including Shimit's directorial work. And so yeah, I mean, it was all in all a wonderful, very collaborative experience. Very collaborative. Many actors that I admire, that I got to work with. Wonderful technicians that I had the chance to work with for the first time. Some technicians that I got to work with after my first film again, some from my second. So it was sort of an extension of that in a beautiful way as well. So it was really nice.
You know, Ishaan, your choices are very exciting because they're so out of the box. You begin with Majid Majidi, do a dhadak, then make your television debut with a suitable boy, but also at the same time do Khaali Peeli, which seems from the promos and everything, the very quintessential Hindi film hero. You are, making that entry in slow motion. You're doing the item song, showing your six-pack ab. Um, is there a certain style of acting that comes more naturally to you?
No,
You
I
love
don't. No, I don't. I feel like I don't want to start defining myself in my, or rather, maybe that's not the right way to put it, but I don't want to start setting parameters or boundaries for myself, because I mean, I don't fully know who I am as an actor just yet either. I know that I've been given some wonderful opportunities, and I have loved working in each one of them. I enjoyed working on Khaali Peeli immensely. for the people that I worked with, the energy that was on that set, the kind of material that we were working on, and it just has this robust energy, that film. And then on Suitable Boy, for very different reasons, it satisfied me in a different way, and it was a huge learning experience for me as an actor. I feel like every work that I do, because it's been distinguished and different, has taught me a lot. But Suitable Boy, I think, is definitely a landmark, like a milestone for me, in the sense that I learned how to become, I largely learned how to become independent in a way. Like, I feel like I've started to understand, and also because I was working with actors like Tabu, how to stand on your own legs, and take the reins into your own hands, and be collaborative and be helpful and be present, but at the same time, really own up and take responsibility for your work. And so that way, it's been a huge learning experience. So I don't know, I mean, I enjoy all of them like equally. I really do.
Satisfied some part of your soul.
Yeah, they're all parts of me.
Because you're as much the flamboyant single screen man as you are the arty guy.
I don't know, we'll find. I mean, let the audience decide that. But I enjoyed working on them immensely, and hopefully the people that I worked with were as happy with the collaboration. So yeah.
Ishaan, I think you're a very, very talented actor. Okay. And I think many people do. But you also come from a film family. And I'm just wondering, do you get concerned at all that the whole conversation about privilege and nepotism might take away from your talent or the work you're putting in? Will it distract from the fact that you can actually act?
I feel like, first of all, being aware that anything that I say, will be looked through the lens of every individual, as and how they want. It's almost as if everything that one is doing has to fit um, people's individual narrative of things. So I understand that, but I'll tell you what I'll try and give you an idea of what I feel. I think the work that you do ultimately defines you, and people are going to think what they're going to think anyway. So instead of diverting my energies into um, thinking how I could possibly change people's minds and perceptions about me, I'd rather just pour it into my work, and it will hit the spots, or the it will hit the nerves in people that it has to, and some people may be attracted to it, some people may not want to for their own personal reasons. They may think it more important to prejudge me than to judge me from my work. But I don't work for those people. I work largely because I'm really passionate about this, and I love what I do. And um, and because there are people out there that get entertainment and joy, and maybe get inspired in some way to think or feel through the work that we do, and that's the biggest blessing. I mean, who gets to do that for a living? We get to do what we love, and we get paid for it. So it's
All good.
it's beautiful. I prefer to look at that aspect of it. I don't like to. I mean, we're artists. I don't like to get into the politics of it. But of course, being from this time and this generation, I'm very aware of things that are going on around me. There are various opinions. There is also a lot of negativity, which is why one has to learn how to pace oneself and have perspective, and is probably why I'm on an ayurvedic detox right now. I'm getting the toxins out of my system. But I'm very grateful, and I love the people who love me back, and love the work, and I work for them, and it gives me the greatest joy that I could make someone happy, and my work could do that for someone. So that's enough to fuel me. That's enough to fuel me.
You had said that your privilege nudges you to over deliver. What did you mean?
I mean, it's tricky, right? Because it could also be a curse, because if you start thinking like you need to over deliver, you could perhaps hit the wrong note sometimes. And it's a very Pankaj ji said this in one of I think the roundtables. He'd said that actors are like sants and like yogis, and it really is a very subliminal kind of process. Like, it's not only about the technique and the craft, and like, it's so weird. Like, some people just sometimes just seem to be on a roll and they just hit the right notes and are in the right wavelength. And so there is so much to it. I mean, it's really something you immerse yourself in, as an actor. Like, it becomes a large part of your life, the work that you do, and
Yeah,
starts defining you as a
division, right, between the job and
there's a lot of give and take. Like, it starts defining you as a person as well. What you learn from your experiences on set, on the films that you do, come into your personality in a very I mean, like with any other job in the world, but in a very subliminal way. Like, it's very interesting. So yeah. I mean, what was the question? I've digressed again.
the question was, how do you over deliver? Do you
I don't think I think of that too much anymore.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think it could be my undoing if I get too caught up in that and trying to over deliver and trying to. But the one thing that I learned on my first film from Majidi sir will never leave me. Some values and ethics that he instilled in me will never leave me. Like, he told me that, and I've said this before, but he told me that you only have one chance to do this, and then it's out there. It's printed, it's out there, and millions of people will see it. It'll be there for posterity. Give it everything. I don't care how you're feeling in this moment right now, but dig it out of wherever you need to dig it out of. So these are not his words, but this is basically the essence of what he was saying to me, is that give it your all. And that's the voice that plays in my head every time I get exhausted. My body starts to feel like it's not fully energized as it should be for a certain scene or moment or shot. It's that voice. It wakes me up and it charges me. And yeah, and that's what it takes. I mean, like, to be good, people don't care what you were feeling or how tired you were, or whether you've done a 24-hour shift or a 37-hour shift, or you've not eaten, or people don't care. I mean, they're just going to see the scene and they're going to be like, passe, so yeah, that's something that I love. And yeah. But the work gives you that opportunity. Like, you have moments that are just so relaxed and introspective, and and then you have moments that are so high intensity that you can barely think. Your body's just doing things. It covers the spectrum. I think I've been lucky to have roles that allow me that graph. And so yeah, so you can get your rest in the middle on set when you have to. When you're doing easy scenes, you really rest into them. That's what I feel.
But the truth is, Ishaan, even if you don't think about a lot of the noise that's out there, invariably you are the face of the project, and you will be drawn in. And I know that we had said that we will stick to a suitable boy, but I have to ask you, did nobody on the set of Khaali Peeli think that those lyrics of the Beyonce song were problematic? You are taking so much flack for it now. How did that happen?
So specifically for this question, I'd like to keep my answer concise, because a clarification has been made on this song specifically by the producers. Who don't know, the song's lyrics have been changed. But because I feel a lot of people have taken this out of context, I'd like to clarify certain things. First of all, worked with these people very closely, be it the director or the producers. I didn't personally get to meet the lyricists, but I can vouch for the fact that neither of these people came with the intention of underlining colorist or racist sentiment. I don't think any of them have a racist bone in their body. But the way that it was intended, it's an entertaining film, it's a fun film. The word gory has been taken out of context is, as I understand it, and I've asked a lot of questions to people that are from rural areas here as well, that stick help and such, who've clarified that Gori has been used in multiple songs. We all know this for ages now, as just referencing a girl. And like you say Londa, or you say Chora, you also say Gori, and that is the context in which it was used. Now the underlying reason for this to be used, and the language and the semantics and all those things, now that's a different conversation altogether. But it was never meant to be um, uh, about the complexion, let alone race. As for Beyonce, I mean, for this Tapori character, his biggest reference for somebody beautiful and iconic and stylish is Beyonce. So if anything, it's flattering. And that's why he goes as far as to even compare this girl who he's trying to woo with Beyonce, because he's trying to flatter her. So it's meant to be taken in that context. But I'm glad, having said that, I'm glad that the conversation about things such as colorism, racism is coming to the fore. These are important things to be discussed, but it's also important to take things in context, I would say.
You, like many other actors like Hrithik or Vicky and Varun, Siddharth, were also an AD. You were an assistant director on Urta. Tell me, how did that experience shape you as an actor?
It was an experience that I really, I really, really wanted to be a part of. Urta Punjab. When I found out that the film was being made, I had just freshly watched Date Ishqiya, which is Abhishek's second film, and it excited me a lot that he would be making a film. And then I learned that my brother would be in it, and I think that ended up becoming, it was something that I chose, that I wanted to be a part of, an experience, but it ended up becoming really the most ideal sort of experience for me, because he's an extremely intelligent director, and that film had no room for laziness or a lackadaisical attitude. And I basically assumed like 6 positions on the film. I have 3 credits. I'm an assistant director. I'm in a scene in the film. I'm an assistant choreographer. So I really got to put myself to the test, and but my main intention and was to serve and to learn out of that experience.
But Hrithik had told me that he's actually nicer to ADs because he knows what it's like to be on the other side. How rough it can get, and how people always give flack to the ADs. Has that happened to you? Will you be a little less starry because you've been an AD? Or are you not starry to begin with?
I'm not sorry to begin with. It's not my thing. It's just, I'm just so excited to be on a movie set. Like, I'm probably like fanboying over everything, be it the camera or the sound mixing or I'm like, I want to know about everything. Like, I'm just this starry-eyed boy, but I'm not starry. Like, I like to be on set even, past my my time, and once I'm done with my work, I like to be there on set to give cues if need be to another actor, even on days when I'm not required. It just, I really love the process. I really love the process. So I don't know. There are behaviors that people can perceive as starry, but that.
But you're not inherently that guy.
Yeah, I mean, you give yourself to a part, and then it starts like inhabiting you, and then you start behaving oddly. I mean, and as an actor, you're the only guy that's like functioning from an emotional core on set. So your behavior is likely to be different from other people's, and that depends on what you're doing and how you're working and what scene you're doing. A lot of it is conscious, a lot of it is subconscious behavior. So,
yeah.
So yeah, but I love all crew in general, because I think I have whole interests in all parts of filmmaking. It just editing is something like I've been trying to get a hall pass into like an editing room as an actor, just to like see how it works, because I love it. I keep making things on iMovie and on my iPad and iPhone, but I just love the whole process, be it editing, be it sound mixing. It's all fascinating. It's the closest thing to magic. It's creation. It's the most wonderful form of storytelling if it's done well.
Yeah.
So yeah, and every story requires different tools and setups and people, and so I've been enjoying everything I've been a part of. It's given me a different rush in a way.
Yeah. No, I believe that you are in love with all of it, because my first memory of you is you sitting in the front row or in the first few seats of Mami, at the film festival, and just with your head up like that, like just completely wide-eyed, and you were there for every conversation, you were there for every screening. I mean, that's how I remember you.
Yes.
Ishaan, last question. Tell me, what have you learned about yourself during this lockdown? Have you discovered things that you did not know before?
I've learned that I'm going to be more grateful for the work that I do, and the chance to a lot of gratitude for sure. You don't take things for granted anymore. But I think it's also in some way centered me, and I think a lot of people will be able to relate that you're able to take a back seat and look at things with perspective, and because you're otherwise when you're running the race, you can't you can't step away from it and get like a bird's eye view on the thing, and that is happening, I think, during the lockdown. But also just also just to observe the way things have been, and how one event has impacted the world at large in a certain way, just to observe herd behaviors, and it's fascinating, and it's definitely a learning in many ways.
Okay, last question after the last question. One last question. Do you think Man lived happily ever after?
I think that's interesting. We'll find out. I mean, I don't know if Ishaan lives happily ever after, but I think, like I said, I mean, what I loved about it is that it was bittersweet, like, much like life. There wasn't a happy ending or a sad ending there. And I think one of my favorite, if not my favorite, line in the whole show is that very last line when Firoz asks him, "Do you think that we'll be happy?" And he says, there's a heavy sigh, and he says, "Who knows?"
Yeah.
And that shows the evolution of that character. And I think because he has evolved and learned certain things, he will be easier on himself, perhaps. So I think in that way, maybe he will be a little happier and a little more centered. But then again, it is Man, and he's one swig of whiskey away from another catastrophe. So yeah.
I think there should be sort of another series on Man and what his adventures are next. It was so wonderful to talk to you, Ishaan. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Anu. Hi, I'm Ishaan, and if you like this interview, please like and subscribe to Film Companion.